Well, he has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Former Minister of Defense of Colombia and two-time Colombian ambassador to the United States, Juan Pinzón, joins me. Nice to talk to you, Ambassador. And tell me, do you think that the president of Colombia needs to worry?
My pleasure, Greta. Well, this is why I'm running for president, because we need to change the reality in Colombia. We got to go back and do what I did when I was Minister of Defense. Go after the criminals, go after the cartels, go after the drug traffickers, protect Colombian people, which is the most important thing. But in consequence, being able to cooperate with other countries like the United States that we have done for years, and actually protect also the citizens of the United States and other countries. That's the best way for attracting investment, for creating development, or for bringing jobs, opportunity, and income to a country like Colombia that needs a lot of that. But yes, the current president of Colombia needs to worry because he has been too much generous with criminals, with drug traffickers. And this is the sense these days that the expansion of crime in Colombia is not only affecting the lives of Colombians and putting at risk more lives in Colombia, but is also affecting the stability of Latin America and somehow creating problems here in the United States.
Well, you know, it's hard to think of Colombia without thinking of Venezuela, Venezuela without Colombia, because I remember that there was a time when Colombia was having a lot of problems and Venezuela opened up its arms to people from Colombia to come live there to be safe. And then about 2013, when Maduro became president, I was down in Cucuta with Reverend Franklin Graham, and that was a time when all these Venezuelans were fleeing into Colombia, and Colombia was so kind in receiving them because they themselves had gone through the same thing and they understood it. Well, now we have another situation because of this border between these two countries, is that these two countries are, have a lot to consider when one of them is in trouble. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But I don't know, are Venezuelans pouring into Colombia now?
Well, a few things to mention. One, Colombia has been a victim also of the Maduro regime. The Maduro Chavez regime expelled 8 million Venezuelans, and most of them crossed through Colombia, as you saw. 2 million of those stay in Colombia. So, of course, we welcome them. They are our brothers, our sisters. Venezuelans and Colombia are somehow the same nation, the nation that Bolivar created, 200 and more years ago, where, the Gran Colombia was created. But, of course, it created a lot of challenges for Colombia in security. So Tren de Aragua came in, and also social needs expanded. So it was problematic. But yes, Colombia was generous to take these Venezuelans because they were in need. But on the other side, the Maduro regime has been opening the Venezuelan territory for becoming a safe haven for terrorists, for criminals, so FARC, ELN, and all drug traffickers and illegal mining crimes are happening from Colombia to Venezuela. And the criminals are being harbored in Venezuela so they can attack from Venezuela the Colombian people, the Colombian territory, the Colombian armed forces. So yes, what matters now is what will be the consequence of these changes. First, I expect, because of what the US have signaled, that the current people of the regime can do a peaceful transition of power. So they can really understand that if they don't do that, they're going to be a target for US forces again. Second, if that transition happens and there's some kind of council, junta, or new form of government as a transition, as we wait for Maria Corina Machado and the leaders of the opposition to really take their position into the Venezuelan democracy as they should, that should be positive. But for Colombia, there's a challenge. Some of the ELN, FARC, and criminals that live in the Venezuelan side might feel unsecure, and maybe they might be trying to come into Colombia. This is why I've been asking the Colombian military and police to be ready, to be prepared, to protect Colombians, and to go after these guys when they come in.
Well, I've also been to Nicoclé, which is, of course, the western part of the country, which is a staging ground to come up the Darien Gap into the United States. And, of course, Colombia has had a lot of people passing through to go up the Columbia Gap. So it has enormous impact on us as well. Former Minister of Defense, thank you very much for joining me, and also Ambassador Juan Carlos Pinzón. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greta. My pleasure. Thank you.